On a Monday in Pakistan, Lashkar-e-Taiba commander Sheikh Yusuf Afridi stepped outside his home. Within seconds, gunmen approached at close range, fired multiple shots, and eliminated a man who had spent years manipulating young men in tribal areas into the ranks of militant groups. The attackers vanished without a trace. No organization claimed the hit, and local authorities were left without a single lead on who had carried out the strike. Afridi's death is the latest entry in a highly effective shadow campaign that has been systematically dismantling terror leadership across the region. This data tracks the timeline of these unknown gunmen strikes. Since 2022, there has been a sharp, sustained spike in the elimination of designated terrorists operating in the region. The map of targets is expansive. Mystery Zahor Ibrahim was shot in Karachi, Lal Mohammed was killed in Nepal, and Shahid Latif, the mastermind of the Pathankot attack, was gunned down outside a mosque in Pakistan. The immediate result is a state of constant fear. The architects of cross-border terrorism are now paralyzed by the threat of an anonymous strike, a pressure that has paralyzed Pakistan's traditional proxy warfare infrastructure. The paranoia currently gripping groups like Lashkar-e-Taiba and Jaish-e-Mohammad is a stark contrast to the operational freedom they enjoyed a decade ago. 10 to 15 years ago, these groups had the resources and state backing to execute high-casualty bombings that regularly devastated major Indian cities. Today, the organizational capacity to plan and execute those kinds of coordinated strikes inside India has been broken. With their primary asymmetric weapon neutralized by these shadow operations, a strategic gap has opened up. Pakistan's leadership is now moving to find an entirely different method to project hostility. Assassinations are only part of the pressure. At the state level, Pakistan is facing a level of international scrutiny that makes traditional militant operations nearly impossible. A recent congressional report from the U.S. Capitol officially labels the country as a hub for foreign terror organizations, a designation they have maintained since the 1980s. The report specifically identifies 12 officially designated foreign terrorist organizations currently residing within Pakistani borders. India's diplomatic strategy is now focused on amplifying this data in the United Nations and across Europe, aiming to further isolate Pakistan's leadership. Under this intense global spotlight, state-sponsored terrorism has become a high-risk liability. To maintain leverage, Pakistan is pivoting toward a weapon that avoids direct international sanctions. That pivot has moved the conflict away from the border and toward the Indus Waters Treaty, the agreement that governs river flows between the two nations. An environmental catalyst is making this strategy possible. Severe heat waves are predicted to strike the entire subcontinent, putting immense strain on shared water resources. The looming water scarcity is a highly emotional and potent political tool in a region where agriculture and survival depend entirely on river access. Pakistan's leadership is now preparing a preemptive narrative. They are framing this incoming natural scarcity as a result of India deliberately restricting river flow. By weaponizing these water grievances, Pakistan is attempting to move the international conversation away from its record on terrorism and toward a new identity, the victim of an ecological crime. To broadcast this narrative, they are utilizing media platforms in Turkey and China, ensuring their version of the water crisis reaches a global audience. But the most important part of this campaign is to bypass official U.S. policy and appeal directly to influential political figures who can shift public perception. Donald Trump presents a significant variable in the strategy. He has historically used warm rhetoric toward the Pakistani military, at one point referring to their leadership in very personal, favorable terms. Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif and the military leadership are actively maneuvering to court this influence, hoping for a public endorsement of their water scarcity claims. For India, the threat is clear. A single public statement of support from a major U.S. political figure would instantly lend global legitimacy to Pakistan's claims of a manufactured water crisis. While the physical threat of cross-border terrorism has been suppressed by unknown men, the underlying hostility has mutated. The new frontline is a war of global narratives and the diplomacy of shared resources.